The crystal punch bowl shattered against the patio stones like a gunshot in the humid Connecticut twilight, spraying red liquid across the white linen tablecloth and staining the hem of Mrs. Hargrove's pristine sundress. Julian's cheek burned hotter than the summer grill coals as her palm connected with his face, the slap echoing louder than the jazz quartet's stunned silence. "You disgusting little pervert," she hissed through gritted teeth, her voice slicing through the murmurs like a knife through cake. "Not in my house, not ever." Julian staggered back, the world tilting under the string lights that suddenly felt like a noose. His dad's 4th of July party, meant to celebrate freedom, of all goddamn ironies, had devolved into this, a spectacle of his own unraveling. Guests froze mid-bite, forks hovering over potato salad, eyes wide as saucers. His father, red-faced and clutching a beer, stood just feet away but said nothing, his silence a betrayal sharper than the sting on Julian's skin. And there, across the lawn, was Bruce, Julian's secret, his anchor, pushing through the crowd, his broad shoulders cutting a path like he was parting the Red Sea, face thunderous with a fury Julian had only seen once before, that night they'd first kissed under the same damn stars. But Julian couldn't move, couldn't breathe. All he could think was how his mother would have crossed the yard in 3 strides, wrapped him in her arms, and whispered, "You're my brave boy, Jul." Always. She wasn't here, though. Cancer had stolen her 5 years ago, leaving behind a ghost of a father and this viper in pearls who called herself family. The slap wasn't just for the photo on his phone, the one of him and Bruce, arms tangled, lips brushing in a stolen moment at the beach. It was for everything Julian was gay, unapologetic, alive in a world that wanted him buried. Bruce reached him first, his calloused hand, rough from years fixing engines at the garage, gentling Julian's jaw, thumb tracing the blooming red welt. "Get your hands off him," Bruce growled low, eyes locked on the stepmother like she was the devil incarnate. The crowd parted further, whispers turning to gasps as phones came out, immortalizing the Hargrove family implosion for Instagram eternity. "Julian," his dad finally choked out, stepping forward with hands raised like he was calming a spooked horse. "Son, let's talk inside." "This isn't what..." "Dad." Julian wrenched free from Bruce's grip, voice cracking like the punch bowl shards under his sneaker. "The part where your wife calls me a pervert for loving someone? Or the part where you just stand there and let her, Mrs. Hargrove, Elena, to her bridge club vipers, drew herself up, chin high, mascara unmarred because God forbid she crack. "I will not have this filth at my table. Your father invited you out of pity, Julian. After all we've done." "Pity?" The word exploded from him, raw and ragged. Laughter bubbled up, bitter and broken, drawing stares from Aunt Clara and Uncle Ted, who clutched their plates like shields. "You've never done shit for me except pray I'd pray the gay away. Mom would be ashamed." Elena's eyes narrowed to slits. "Your mother was a fool. Weak. She enabled you, filled your head with nonsense about acceptance. Look where that's gotten you. A freak show in front of the whole neighborhood." Bruce's arm snaked around Julian's waist then, solid and unyielding, pulling him close enough to smell the faint motor oil and cedar cologne that always grounded him. "Walk away, lady," Bruce said, voice steady as rebar. "Before I make you." The quartet struck up again, a feeble Stars and Stripes Forever, that clashed with the chaos like fireworks in a funeral parlor. Julian let Bruce steer him toward the house, past the keg and the kids chasing fireflies, his heart hammering a war drum. Inside, the kitchen air was thick with the scent of ribs and regret, the screen door slamming shut behind them like a guillotine. Julian slumped against the granite island, breath hitching as the adrenaline crashed. Bruce cupped his face, tilting it to the light, wincing at the mark. "Ice," he muttered, rummaging in the freezer like a man on a mission. A dish towel-wrapped pack pressed to Julian's skin, cold seeping in like mercy he didn't deserve. "Why'd you have to come tonight?" Julian whispered, hating the whine in his voice. "I told you it'd blow up." Bruce's hazel eyes, flecked with gold like autumn leaves, softened, but his jaw stayed set. "Because you're worth blowing up over. And because I love you, you idiot." The words hung there, simple and seismic. They'd said it before, in whispers between shifts at the diner where Julian slung hash browns, or in the cab of Bruce's truck on back roads where no one judged. But here, in the belly of the beast, felt like a declaration of war. Upstairs, Julian's old room waited like a time capsule. Posters of Nirvana faded to ghosts. A twin bed with a quilt Mom had sewn from his baby clothes. He collapsed onto it, Bruce sinking beside him, the ice pack forgotten on the nightstand. "She saw the photo," Julian said, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin. "I left my phone on the counter. Bruce and me at Lighthouse Point. You remember that sunset?" Bruce nodded, hand finding Julian's, fingers lacing tight. "The one where you smiled like you invented joy?" "Yeah." Best damn night it had been. 3 months ago, after Julian's shift, Bruce had driven them out to the rocky shore, waves crashing like applause. They'd talked for hours about Bruce's dead-end mechanic life, dreams of opening his own shop, about Julian's stalled community college classes, the graphic design sketches he hid in notebooks. Then, as the sun dipped, Bruce had kissed him, tentative at first, then hungry, like he'd been starving for years. Julian had melted into it, the world narrowing to salt air and stubble burn, his first real taste of being wanted. Now, that memory soured in his gut. Footsteps thundered up the stairs. His dad, probably, come to smooth things over with apologies that wouldn't stick. Julian bolted upright. "Hide," he hissed, but Bruce just smirked, staying put. The door flew open, Richard Hargrove filling the frame, broad as a linebacker gone to seed. Ty Askew, face a map of apologies he couldn't voice. "Jewel, Jesus. What the hell happened out there?" "You happened, Dad." Julian's voice was steel now, forged in the fire of that slap. "By marrying her. By letting her turn our home into a goddamn conversion therapy brochure." Richard winced, rubbing his neck. "Elena's. Traditional. You know that. After your mom." "Don't." Julian stood, chest heaving. "Don't you dare blame Mom. She loved me. All of me. She read me books about boys who loved boys, told me it was okay to be different. You've been pretending I'm straight since her funeral." Bruce rose too, a quiet sentinel, but Richard's eyes flicked to him, recognition dawning like a storm cloud. "Who's this?" "Bruce," Julian said, chin lifting. "My boyfriend." The word dropped like a grenade. Richard's face drained of color, mouth working soundlessly. Then, Elena's voice slithered in from the hall. "I told you, Richard. He's poisoned." Get him out. Richard hesitated, torn between worlds, and in that pause, Julian saw the betrayal crystallize. Dad, he pleaded, one last thread of hope fraying. Please, but Richard turned away, shoulders slumping. Just go. For tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. Tomorrow. The word tasted like ash. Julian grabbed his keys, Bruce trailing, the house swallowing their footsteps as they fled into the night. Fireworks popped in the distance, some neighbor's grand finale, painting the sky in bursts of red, white, and blue. Freedom, my ass, Julian thought, sliding into Bruce's truck, the engine roaring to life like a getaway car. They drove in silence to Bruce's apartment above the garage in Bridgeport, the city lights blurring through tears Julian refused to shed. Inside, the space was pure Bruce, tools scattered on the coffee table, a half-built model plane on the windowsill, posters of classic cars peeling at the edges. It smelled like home, grease and garlic from the takeout they lived on. Bruce pulled him down onto the sagging couch, arms a fortress. You're safe, he murmured into Julian's hair. She's wrong. You're not wrong. Julian buried his face in Bruce's neck, inhaling the steady rhythm of his pulse. What if I am? What if Mom was just lying to make me feel better? Bullshit. Bruce pulled back, eyes fierce. Your mom's letters, those ones you showed me, they're proof. She saw you, Jewel. Really saw you. The letters. Tucked in a shoebox under Julian's bed back home. A dozen handwritten notes Mom had penned during her last months, when chemo left her too weak to speak but not to write. Julian had found them a year ago, each one a love letter to his future self. Wear your rainbow socks with pride, my love. The world needs your colors. He'd clung to them like scripture, but tonight, they felt miles away. Stay here, Bruce said, already on his feet. I'll get em. No, but Bruce was out the door, truck keys jangling, a one-man rescue mission. Julian paced, the slaps echo throbbing in his temples. Hours ticked by. Midnight, 1 a.m., worry gnawing like termites. When the door finally creaked open, Bruce looked wrecked, split lip, knuckles raw, a manila envelope clutched like contraband. Jesus, what happened? Julian lunged, tracing the blood on Bruce's mouth. Your old man's got a mean right hook. Bruce winced, but grinned through it. Worth it. Snuck in while they were fighting downstairs. Figured you'd need these more than a black eye. Julian snatched the envelope, hands trembling as he spilled the letters across the table. They fluttered like wounded birds. Blue ink on lined paper, Mom's looping script. He picked one at random. To my Julian, age 25. If you're reading this, you're chasing dreams. Don't let anyone dim your light, not even family. Love is love, baby. Yours forever, Mom. Tears hit the page, smudging the words. Bruce wrapped around him from behind, chin on his shoulder. See? Never wrong. In that moment, curled on the floor amid ink and salt, Julian believed it. But dawn brought reality. A text from Dad. Don't come back until you fix this. And Elena's voicemails. Venomous ultimatums. The betrayal sank deeper, the chasm widening. Julian's phone buzzed again. Work, college, the life he'd built on eggshells. How long could he run? Bruce kissed his temple. We fight this. Together. Julian nodded, resolve hardening like epoxy. But deep down, he knew the real war was just starting. The coffee shop on Main Street buzzed with the morning rush. Laptops clacking, baristas shouting orders, the hiss of the espresso machine a white noise symphony. Julian hunched over his sketchpad at a corner table, pencil flying across the page, but his lines came out jagged, mirroring the bruise purpling his cheek. Bruce had slathered it with concealer before work, muttering about covering for assholes. But Julian felt exposed, like the slap had branded him for all of Bridgeport to see. "You gonna eat that muffin or just stare it to death?" Tegan, his coworker and reluctant therapist, slid into the seat across from him, her pink-streaked hair a beacon in the gloom. She'd clocked the mark the second he walked in, but true to form, she waited for the lull to pounce. Julian pushed the blueberry corpse her way. "Not hungry." "And don't start? Too late, babe." She tore off a chunk, eyes narrowing. "Spill. Was it that step bitch again? The one who thinks glitter is a sin?" He laughed, a rusty sound. "Worse. Dad's party. Brought Bruce." "Sort of." Tegan's eyebrows shot up. "The hot mechanic? Hell yes. And photo. On my phone. Elena found it. Slapped me in front of 50 people. Dad just watched." She cursed under her breath, a stream of Irish invective that could curdle milk. "Classic Hargrove. Your pops is a spineless prick. Remember that time he forgot to pick you up from prom because Elena had a headache?" Julian nodded, the memory a fresh stab. Prom, him in a rented tux, dateless because Elena had suggested he ask cousin Becca instead. He'd spent the night sketching under the bleachers, dreaming of boys who looked like Bruce, tall, tattooed, unafraid. "But Bruce," Tegan pressed, leaning in. "He went full night, right? Fought the dragon. Something like that." Julian's lips twitched. "Last night, after the letters, they'd made love on that creaky couch. Slow, reverent, Bruce mapping every inch like he was committing Julian to memory. Whispers in the dark. You're mine. No one's taking that. It had been a bomb, but morning light exposed the cracks. Tegan snapped her fingers. Earth to Jewel. Look, you're tougher than this. Mom's letters? They're your superpower. Use them. He'd read them all again at dawn, each one a thread stitching him back. One from her hospital bed. Julian, if love finds you in a man's arms, hold tight. It's rarer than you know. Humanistic to the core, Mom. The English prof who'd quoted Whitman like gospel. I am large. I contain multitudes. The bell jingled, pulling him from the reverie. Bruce strode in, oil-streaked jeans hugging his thighs, flannel rolled to elbows revealing the serpent tattoo coiling his forearm. Heads turned, Bridgeport's not big, and Bruce Harlan was a fixture, the guy who fixed your Chevy when no one else would. But today, his eyes were only for Julian, darkening at the bruise. Shifts covered, he said, dropping into the chair with a kiss that lingered, unapologetic. Tegan whooped, earning glares from the knitting brigade in the corner. Get a room. Lovebirds. She teased, but her eyes said good for you. Bruce ignored her, thumb brushing Julian's jaw. How's the face? Matching my soul. Julian forced a grin. You? Knuckles okay? Bruce flexed them, scabs fresh. Reminds me not to punch dads. Even shitty ones. The lightness faded fast. Julian's phone vibrated. Elena. Come home. Apologize. Or don't come at all. He showed Bruce, who snatched it, typing a reply that made Julian's eyes widen. Fuck off. Bruce. What? She started it. But Bruce's grin faltered, vulnerability cracking through. Jewel. I can't watch you go back there. Not after last night. Last night. The letters had unlocked something. A flood of stories Julian had bottled. Mom sneaking him to Pride in New Haven when he was 12, rainbow flag in hand. Dad conveniently working late. She got it, Julian said softly. Knew before I did. Said I was born with stars in my eyes. Not sins. Bruce nodded, hand squeezing his. Then live like it. With me. The offer hung, tempting as sin. Bruce's place was chaos, but it was theirs, nights tangled in sheets, mornings with bad coffee and better kisses. No hiding. No Elena's side eyes at family dinners. But leaving meant cutting Dad loose, and despite the hurt, that tether pulled taut. Tegan cleared her throat. Boss is glaring. Breaks over. Romeo. Julian rose, sketching the moment in his mind. Bruce's earnest face, the steam curling from forgotten lattes. At the counter, he frothed milk on autopilot, but his thoughts churned. Betrayal wasn't just the slap. It was Dad's silence, the years of it's a phase dismissals. The conflict simmered, building to a boil he couldn't ignore. Lunch rush hit like a freight train, suits from the bank, moms with strollers, the usual parade. Julian bantered through it, charm on autopilot, but inside, he plotted. After shift, he'd confront Dad. Not with fists, like Bruce, but words. Mom's words. The door swung open again, but this time it was Uncle Ted, Dad's brother, face flushed from the heat. Jewel, heard about last night. Your pop's a mess. Elena's got him twisted up. Julian paused mid-pour, foam spilling. Uncle Ted. What are you? Saving your ass? Kid. Ted glanced around, voice low. Elena's packing your stuff. Says you're out. But I snagged this first. He slid a small box across the counter. Mom's old jewelry case. The one with the locket Julian had given her. Heart slamming, Julian cracked it open. Nestled inside more letters, sealed with wax hearts, dated after the ones he knew. How? Your mom left them with me. For, if things go south, guess that's now. Ted clapped his shoulder, awkward but kind. She loved you fierce. Boy. Don't let em forget it. Julian clutched the box as Ted vanished into the crowd. The letters burned in his pocket, a talisman against the storm. Shift ended in a blur. Bruce waited outside, leaning on the truck like a sentinel. What's that? He asked, nodding at the box. Ammo. Julian climbed in, resolve stealing. Drive to Dad's. Bruce didn't argue, just gunned the engine, tires chewing gravel. The suburbs unspooled, manicured lawns, minivans, the American dream in picket fence drag. But Julian's dream was fracturing, pieces held by ink and memory. They pulled up to the colonial monstrosity at dusk, Elena's Prius gleaming like accusation. Lights blazed inside, voices raised, audible through the open window. Dad. He's our son. We can't just. He's a liability, she snapped. The neighbors are talking. My book club. Julian stormed the door, Bruce at his heels. It banged open, drawing gasps. Elena whirled from the kitchen, wineglass in hand. Dad froze mid-pace, tie undone. Out! Elena shrieked, but Julian held up the box, letters spilling like confetti. Read them, he demanded, voice steady. Mom's words. To me. About this. Dad's eyes widened, recognition flickering. He reached for one, fingers trembling. Jewel. Where did you, Ted? She trusted him more than you. Apparently, the barb landed, Dad flinching. Julian thrust another at Elena. You too. See what a fool she was. Elena recoiled like it was poison, but Dad unfolded the paper, voice cracking as he read aloud. Richard, if our boy loves a man, you'll love him twice as hard. Don't make my mistakes, hiding who you are. Julian deserves the stars. Silence fell, thick as fog. Elena's face twisted, rage, then something sharper, fear. This is manipulation. She's dead. She can't. She's right here, Julian cut in, tapping the page. In every word. I was never wrong. Elena. You are, for hating what you don't understand. Dad sank into a chair, letter clutched like a lifeline. I failed you, son. After Lisa. I just wanted normal. For you. Normal. Bruce snorted from the doorway, arms crossed. Love's the most normal damn thing. Elena's eyes darted between them, calculating. Then, the betrayal twisted anew. She lunged for the letters, scattering them. Lies. All of it. Julian dove, gathering them, but she grabbed his arm, nails digging. You think this changes anything? You're broken. Julian. Fix it or leave. Bruce surged forward, prying her off. Touch him again, and we're done with cops. The scuffle escalated, Dad yelling, Elena shrieking, until sirens wailed distant. A neighbor's call. Chaos reigned, hearts laid bare and bleeding. Julian backed toward the door, letters safe, but the wound gaped wider. Outside, under the porch light, Dad followed. Stay. Please. Talk to her. Julian met his eyes, seeing the boy Mom had loved, the one who'd courted her with bad poetry. Talk? Or fight? Dad swallowed. Fight. It was a start. But as Bruce drove them away, Julian's phone lit with a text from Tegan. Pics from the party are viral. Hargrove slap trending. The world was watching now, the conflict spilling beyond fences. In the truck's cab, Bruce's hand found his thigh. Proud of you, Julian leaned into him, letters in lap. Us against them? Always, but doubt whispered. How long before betrayal fractured even this? The viral storm hit like a nor'easter, whipping Bridgeport into a frenzy. By morning, Hargrove slap dominated local feeds. Grainy videos of the slap looping on TikTok. Captions raging from bigot alert to family drama goals. Julian's face, mid-sting, became a meme when you come out and your stepmom comes out swinging. Reporters camped Dad's lawn. Mics thrust like pitchforks. Elena barricaded inside, her Facebook frozen on a passive-aggressive post about family values. Julian and Bruce holed up in the apartment, blinds drawn against the circus. This is insane, Julian muttered, scrolling through comments. Support poured in queer kids from his old high school, strangers sharing their slaps, literal and figurative. But the hate slithered too, freak. Tension whore. Go back to your boyfriend's garage. Each one a needle, pricking the armor Mom's letters had forged. Bruce snatched the phone, tossing it to the charger. Enough. They're not worth your oxygen. He pulled Julian to the kitchenette, where pancakes sizzled, his attempt at comfort food, lopsided but golden. Eat. Then we plan. Plan. The word grounded him. College loomed. Fall semester at Housatonic. Graphic design program he deferred twice for family stuff. Work at the diner was steady. Tips good on queer nights when allies tipped extra. But now, with Dad's house off limits, rent loomed like a guillotine. Bruce's garage gig barely covered his half. Dreams of his own shop felt like fairy tales. I could crash with Tegan, Julian offered, forking a bite. Sweet, sticky Bruce's cooking always was. Nope, Bruce's fork clattered. We do this together. Move in. Official. Julian's heart stuttered. Official. No more sneaking. No more friends crashing. Just them laundry shared. Mornings merged. Romance in the mundane. Bruce's boots by the door. Julian's sketches pinned to the fridge. You sure? I'm a mess right now. Bruce's gaze held steady. Gold flecks catching the light. Messy looks good on you. They sealed it with a kiss over cooling syrup. Slow and deepening. Hands roaming like explorers. Bruce tasted like flour and forever. Julian melted. The world's roar fading to their rhythm. But passion crested too soon. Knocks at the door shattered the haze. Julian, it's me, Dad's voice. Muffled but urgent. Bruce tensed, but Julian waved him off, cracking the door. Richard Hargrove stood rumpled. Shirt untucked, eyes bloodshot, a thermos of coffee as peace offering. Can we talk? Away from them. Elena. Julian stepped aside, Dad entering like a ghost in his own son's life. Bruce hovered in the kitchen, arms crossed, a silent try me. Dad set the thermos down, hands fidgeting. I sent her to her sister's. In Hartford. Needs space. Julian blinked. You. Kicked her out. Told her to go. Read the letters. Jul. All night. Your mom. His voice broke. Tears carving tracks. She warned me. Said I'd lose you if I didn't fight the fear. I have lost you. The admission hung, raw and real. Julian's throat tightened, years of resentment crashing against this vulnerability. Why now, after the slap, the silence? Dad sank onto the couch, head in hands. Cowardice. Elena. She filled the void after Lisa. Made me feel steady. But steady's not love. Not like this. He gestured at the letters, peeking from Julian's bag. One said, Richard, love him loud. Or regret it quiet. I regret enough. Bruce softened, grabbing mugs. Coffee poured, steam rising like truce flags. They sat, awkward trio sipping in silence. Then Dad turned to Bruce. You fought for him. At the party. Knocked me good. Bruce rubbed his knuckles. Sheepish. Sorry, sir. Heat of the moment. Richard chuckled. Watery. Call me Rich. And thank you. For loving my boy. The words bridged something. Tentative but true. Julian's chest eased. The first real breath since the slap. But Elena loomed, a shadow unbound. As Dad left, Hugs exchanged. Promises made. The phone buzzed. Tegan. Elena's spilling to the press. Says you're unstable, influenced. Lawyer incoming? Betrayal's second act. Julian's hands shook as he read the article. Local matriarch claims gay son's delusion sparked family rift. Quotes twisted her as victim, him as villain. Mom's letters fabricated for sympathy. Fuck her, Bruce snarled, pacing. We sue. Or ignore. Your call. Julian stared at the screen, anger coiling hot. Neither. We fight smart. With truth. That night, they crafted a response. Not rage, but raw a video. Julian on camera. Bruise faded but spirit unbowed. This is my story, he began, letters in hand. Not a scandal. A slap woke me up. Mom's words saved me. And love? It's my superpower. Bruce off-screen, squeezing his knee, Dad texting support mid-record. They posted it, my truth, tagging allies. Views climbed thousands, then tens. Comments flooded positive, queer icons retweeting. A therapist offering pro bono. But Elena struck back. Voicemails, then a cease and desist from her shark lawyer, claiming defamation. The conflict escalated. Court dates looming like thunderheads. Julian's designs went viral too. Sketches of slaps turning to embraces, rainbows over fractured homes. Offers trickled, freelance gigs, podcast invite. But stress gnawed sleepless nights, Bruce's worry lines deepening. One evening, post-fight rehearsal, they role-played depositions over pizza. Bruce pulled him to the fire escape. Bridgeport sprawled below, harbor lights winking like conspirators. Marry me, Bruce said. No ring, just intent. Julian laughed, stunned. What? Not now. Someday. When the dust settles. But say yes. Tears pricked. Romance amid ruins, pure American grit. Yes, they kissed as stars emerged. But dawn brought Elena's ambush. She showed at the garage, flanked by goons in suits. Sign this. She thrust papers, surrendering inheritance. Silence clause. Or I bury you in court. Bruce stepped up, wrench in hand. Lady, you're trespassing. Her eyes gleamed. Manic. He's poison. You all are. Julian arrived then, Dad's car screeching behind. Elena. Stop. Dad's voice. Firm. It's over. Divorce papers filed. Her face crumpled, mask slipping, revealing the scared girl beneath. You can't. I did it for us. To be normal. Normal's a lie, Julian said. Soft but steel. Mom taught me that. She fled, papers scattering, the climax breaking like a wave. Court dragged settlements, therapy mandates, but truth prevailed. Elena faded to footnotes, her bigotry a cautionary tweet. Months blurred. Dad rebuilding. Weekly dinners sans venom. Julian's art blooming. Gallery show in New Haven. Bruce's shop opened. Harlan's Heartland Motors. Pride flag fluttering. On a crisp autumn eve, under those same Connecticut stars, Julian and Bruce exchanged rings. Simple bands, engraved with Mom's words. Love loud. Dad officiated. Tegan catcalling from the pews. Humanistic closure. Not perfect, but whole. Julian glanced at the letters, tucked in his pocket. Never wrong, he whispered. Bruce grinned. Damn right. And in that embrace, freedom rang true. In truth, Elena's return with a final betrayal, forged letter claiming mom regretted Julian's path. Climax in court, letters authenticated, her downfall. But for now, seamless. Yes. So, redo file 3 end. Her eyes gleamed. Manic. He's poison. You all are. The goons advanced. But Dad's car screeched up, horn blaring. Enough, Richard bellowed, spilling out. Elena, this ends now. She whirled, face ashen. Richard, you're with them. He nodded, eyes on Julian. Always was. Just took me too long. The garage fell silent, tension crackling like live wire. Elena's laugh was brittle, breaking. You'll regret this. All of you. She stormed to her car, tires squealing into the night, leaving papers trampled underfoot. Julian exhaled, shaking. Divorce, Dad nodded. Filed yesterday. After the video. She crossed a line. Bruce clapped Dad's shoulder. Truce sealed in sweat and oil. But as they cleaned up, Julian's phone pinged. Anonymous email. Attachment heavy. He opened it, stomach dropping. A letter, Mom's handwriting, but wrong. To my son, I was wrong to encourage your phase. Pray for change. Love, Lisa. Forged. Elena's final stab. She's not done, Julian whispered, rage and grief colliding. The climax loomed, betrayal's blade sharpened. The courtroom in downtown Bridgeport smelled of polished wood and stale coffee, the kind that fueled grudges and small victories. Julian sat ramrod straight in the gallery, Bruce's hand a hot anchor on his knee, Dad fidgeting beside them like a man awaiting judgment day. Elena's forgery hung over the room like smog, her lawyer, a slick weasel in pinstripes, waving the letter like a smoking gun during opening arguments. Your Honor, the lawyer intoned, voice oily. Mrs. Hargrove acted in good faith to protect family legacy. This fabrication by the plaintiff. He nodded at Julian, sneer curling, is a ploy for sympathy, twisting a dying woman's words. Gasps rippled. Julian's nails dug crescents into his palms. The letter was a masterpiece of malice. Mom's script mimicked perfectly, paper aged with tea stains, even her favorite Mont Blanc pen replicated. Elena sat across the aisle, pearls choking her neck, eyes downcast in feigned sorrow. But Julian saw the triumph flicker. Her betrayal evolved from slap to sabotage. Dad leaned in, breath ragged. That bitch. How'd she even? Doesn't matter, Bruce muttered, thumb stroking Julian's knuckles. We'll burn it, the judge, a no-nonsense woman with silver streaks, peered over her glasses. Proceed, Mr. Ellis, Julian's lawyer, pro bono from the local Lambda chapter, a firebrand named Carla with tattoos peeking from her cuffs, rose like a phoenix. Objection, Your Honor. This document is a fraud, as forensics will prove. But more, it's an assault on the deceased's memory and my client's identity. Forensics. The expert took the stand next, a bespectacled whiz from Yale's lab, droning on ink analysis and fiber traces. The paper is modern, post-2020 watermark. Ink synthetic, not the archival type MS. Hargrove used, slides projected, magnified discrepancies, damning as fingerprints. Elena squirmed, her lawyer objecting furiously, but the judge silenced him with a gavel crack. Overruled. Continue, then. Julian's turn. He approached the stand, legs leaden, swearing on a Bible he barely believed in anymore. Carla's questions were gentle scalpels. Tell us about your mother, Mr. Hargrove. Voice steady. Julian poured it out, the hospital vigils, Mom's whispers through pain, the shoebox of letters as her last gift. She affirmed me. Said love was my birthright, gay or not. He glanced at Elena, eyes locking. Unlike some, the lawyer pounced for cross. And this affirmation. Convenient, isn't it? No witnesses. Just your word against a grieving widowers, Julian corrected, chin high. Dad's here, but the forgery sting lingered. Regarding Exhibit B, the lawyer slid the fake forward. Recognize this? Julian's gut twisted. It's a lie. Mom would never. Words from beyond the grave. Perhaps she regretted. Saw the error. Objection, Carla barked. Speculation, sustained. But damage crept. Whispers in the gallery. Who to believe? Elena dabbed tears. The picture of piety. Recess hit like mercy. In the hall, Bruce pulled Julian into a stairwell, lips crashing fierce. You're killing it. She's crumbling. Dad hovered, guilt etched deep. I should have seen it coming. She asked for Lisa's things months ago. Said it was for memorial. Betrayal's layers peeled endless. Julian nodded, numb. Just get through. Afternoon dragged. Character witnesses. Tegan. Fierce. Jules the heart of our crew. Elena. Snake in sundress. Uncle Ted. Gruff. Saw her forge it. Late night. My guest room. Been full of crumpled tries. Gasps. Elena's face blanched, checkmate looming. But she took the stand then, voice quavering. I only wanted to help. Richard was lost after Lisa. Julian's choices hurt him. The letter, a moment of weakness. To bring peace, lies, honeyed. The lawyer spun it. Desperate act from a woman under siege. Carla shredded. Desperate or deliberate? You slapped him, Mrs. Hargrove. Publicly humiliated a young man for loving freely. Then forged his mother's voice to gaslight him. Why? Elena faltered, eyes darting. I feared for the family. Fear, Carla echoed. Or hate. The courtroom held breath. Elena cracked. Both. God. It's both. He was supposed to be normal. Like us. The admission detonated, raw, racist in its bigotry. Jury murmurs swelled. Judge called order. Closing arguments flew. Carla's plea humanistic. Invoking Mom's words projected large. Love loud. Opposing counsel's defense wilted. Forgery exposed as fraud. Verdict came swift. Fraud proven. Restraining order. Damages to Julian for emotional distress. Elena rose, defeated, her empire of pretense crumbling. Richard? She whispered as bailiffs let her out. Forgive. No, Dad said, firm. Heal yourself. Outside, autumn sun slanted gold, leaves crunching underfoot. Julian hugged Dad, tears free. We did it. You did. Dad's eyes shone. Lisa's proud. Bruce scooped Julian up, spinning him laughing. My hero. Romance bloomed anew in victory's afterglow. Dinner at the diner, Tegan toasting with cheap champagne. But humanistic truth, wounds lingered. Elena's therapy mandated, Dad's amends ongoing. Julian sketched the scene, court as crucible, love as phoenix. Yet, in quiet moments, doubt whispered. Was it over, or just intermission? One night, post-celebration, Bruce knelt again, ring this time, silver with engraving. Now. Marry me now. Julian's yes echoed eternal. But fate twisted. A letter arrived. Real mom's final. Hidden by Ted. To Julian. If betrayal breaks you, remember love rebuilds. Be the man I raised. Gay. Proud. Unbreakable. Tears fell. Unbreakable. Yes. Winter wrapped Bridgeport in a hush of snow, blanketing the garage roof in white like absolution. Harlan's Heartland motors thrived. Bruce's baby. Walls lined with Julian's murals. Murals of gears meshing with hearts. Rainbows etched in chrome. The shop's grand opening had been a queer wonderland. Pride flags snapping in the chill. Tegan DJing drag anthems. Dad manning the grill with a tentative smile. Elena's shadow? Faded to postcard from rehab working on me. Forgive? Dad burned it unread. Julian's life unfurled like a long-held breath. Gallery show in New York, his slap-inspired series. Welted words. Sold out. Critics raving raw Americana. Queer and unyielding. College resumed. Nights bent over drafting tables. Bruce quizzing him on fonts over takeout. Romance deepened in domestic poetry. Snowshoe hikes in the state park. Hands gloved and clasped. Lazy Sundays tracing tattoos. Bruce's stories of foster kid scars mirroring Julian's own. But the humanistic core pulsed in the mending. Dad's house transformed. No Elena's crucifixes. Just Mom's letters framed in the hall like icons. Weekly dinners evolved. Dad dating a librarian. Soft-spoken and open. Who quoted Auden at the table. Love is the last surprise, she'd say, winking at Julian and Bruce. One eve, as spring teased buds, they gathered for Mom's would-be birthday. The backyard, site of the slap, now bloomed with wildflowers Julian planted. Defiant color. Lanterns glowed. Table laden with her recipes. Lasagna bubbling. Apple pie cooling. Dad raised a glass. To Lisa. To us. To rebuilding, Bruce added. Arm around Julian. Laughter flowed. Stories unearthed. Mom's secret tattoo. A tiny rainbow on her ankle. Inked post-diagnosis. Rebellion, Dad chuckled. Said it was for you, Jul. Before you knew. Julian's throat closed. The final letter. Read aloud. If bi or tragic, choose love. It's the American way. Messy. Bold. Ours. Tears mingled with wine. Later, under stars reclaiming the sky, Julian and Bruce walked the lawn. Think she'd like this? Julian asked, head on Bruce's shoulder. Love it. Like she loved you. The wedding came summer sweet. A backyard affair at Dad's, string lights reclaimed, quartet playing Mom's favorites. Julian in linen suit, rainbow pocket square. Bruce in vest unbuttoned, serpent tattoo winking. Vows handwritten. Julian's. You caught me when I fell, held me when I broke. My mechanic, my heart. Bruce's. Gravel rough, fixed trucks. But you fixed me. Forever. Dad walked Julian down the aisle. mowed grass, whispering, "Proud, son. So damn proud." Rings exchanged. Kiss ceiling, cheers erupting. Tegan whooping. Confetti of sketches fluttering. Honeymoon, road trip, Route 66 echoes in a vintage Mustang Bruce restored. Deserts bloomed cactus hearts. Motels neon-lit confessions. They talked futures, adopting someday. Shop expansions. Julian's book of letters illustrated. But the arc's humanism shone in reflection. Betrayal's scar, a reminder not to harden. Elena surfaced once. Post-release coffee meet. Supervised. "I was scared," she admitted. Hollowed. "Of difference. Sorry doesn't fix. But it start." Julian nodded. Boundaries firm. Start's enough. For now. Forgiveness. Not absolution. American grace. Gritty. Years spun. Kids came. 2 boys with Bruce's eyes. Julian's fire. Dad doted. Grandkids on knees. Stories of slaps turned to strength. The party. Family lore. Toast at reunions. That night we chose love. Old now. Julian sat porchside. Letters yellowed but cherished. Bruce's hand gnarled in his. "Never wrong," he murmured. Bruce squeezed. "Damn straight." Sunset painted purple. Stars winking approval. Mom's voice. Eternal, love loud. And they had